get rid of your show up mentality. So the show up mentality, this is how I call it, is that it's basically this mentality where you just go to the gym to tick the box. You go to the gym, you basically just do your workout, you go home, boom, tick the box, you've been going to the gym, great. As a beginner, this is the best thing that you can do. As a beginner, you need to have this show up mentality. The main goal as a beginner is to basically just go to the gym, tick the box, and you're done. But once you've been going to the gym consistently now for like 1 to 2 years, you basically need to kind of switch this mindset and go to the gym with intention. The thing that I did is that once I got rid of my shot mentality, I started showing up to the gym with deliberate practice. So I started implementing new things that I've learned, and I've started basically doing them in the gym. For example, a couple of months ago, I was watching this video on YouTube about this bodybuilder training shoulders, and he was basically giving like this little, like very specific tips. And what I did, very simple, I basically just started doing them in my training sessions. So for example, the way that he was doing shoulder raises, he was doing it in a way where he targeted the deltoid more. And that's exactly what I did. And the main point that I'm trying to make is that in order to like actually level up in the gym, you need to start making a little bit more effort. This doesn't mean that you're going to the gym and you're going to train like 3 hours a day. Of course not. What I'm trying to say is that behind every exercise that you do, behind every action that you do, there's basically an explanation. Like, this is very, very this is very stupid, but it's actually very true. Most people don't know why they training, for example, why they're doing shoulder raises that way and which muscle they're actually targeting. For example, I always had skinny forearms. Always had skinny forearms. I remember, like, when I look at pictures, when I look at group pictures and I compare my forearms to other people, they've always been very, very skinny. So in order to, and I never trained forearms before. I didn't even know you had to train fucking forearms before. And in order to switch the mentality that you have, the mentality that you have now, that you just show up to the gym, you do the exercise that you've always been doing. In order to like reach that new level, you need to actually take a look at yourself and see which muscles need more work on. Like, do you know that you should train your neck? I didn't know this before, but I've started training neck now. You need to like look at the little things. For example, I started training my forearms. Or another example is that I wanted to get better at pull-ups, and I started training my grip. So I started doing dead hangs in the gym, and these are exercises that you probably never heard of before, probably never done before. But this is literally what's gonna make you achieve this next step. So it's just not just showing up anymore and just doing your push-pull legs. It's actually taking a look at yourself, see what needs more work. For example, if you want to increase the number of pull-ups like I did, start training your grip. And the way that you train your grip is by doing dead hangs. And again, what I mean but when I say to make a little bit more effort is, for example, like visualize your next set. For example, when you're in between sets, instead of like listening to music and scrolling on your phone, why don't you just like visualize your next set, and you like focus on like achieving failure on the 10th rep? Or for example, when you are doing bicep curls, like actually like focus on the contraction of your muscle. And you see what I mean? It's just like these little tiny things which actually make a very, very big difference. And as I said before, if you've been going to the gym for a while now, it's really, really not about just like showing up to the gym, ticking the box, and that's it. Of course, if you don't want to take the gym seriously, of course, do that, whatever. But if you're watching this video and if you watched it until this time, is because you actually do care about the gym, you actually do care about looking good and taking the gym seriously. And I'm telling you guys, the best piece of advice that I can give you is start like taking in consideration the little things. So like the muscles that you probably didn't even know existed. Or for example, this like, do basically each exercise with like an extra cue. So for example, as I was saying before, when you do bicep curls, actually like close your eyes and like just like visualize that contraction that's going on in your bicep. I know it takes a little bit more effort, I know, but if you actually want to go to the next level, this is what you need to do. Another thing that I started doing is that I started recording myself in the gym. So then I look back at the video that I took and I see how my form is. And this is absolutely important, guys. This is so important. Like, start recording yourself when you do, like, for example, new exercises, and see if you're doing it correctly. and you're gonna see that in some exercises the form is probably shit. And so by looking at the video, you can like go next time to the gym and like readjust your form and actually focus more on bettering your form, maybe by lowering the weight. Another example that I want to give you is that right now you're probably training like 3 sets for 10 or for 12, which is good, but understand why you're doing it. For example, if you're doing high reps, it's because you want to focus on hypertrophy. But if you do, for example, 6 to 8 reps or like 4 to 6, it's because you're training on strength. Like, actually have a goal and set an action plan, and do every exercise that you do is basically to achieve that goal, so that action plan. So it's not just going to the gym now doing 3 sets of 12 of random exercise and then move on. If you have to do like 5 sets because you're actually focusing on hypertrophy, for example, do that. You know what I mean? Every action that you do has an explanation. You're basically doing the bench press 4 reps because you want to increase your strength. You're not just doing like 3 sets of 12, or if you are, great, but understand why you're doing it. Like I'm telling you, when I first started going to the gym, I've seen, like we all did, the first couple of months, the first few months, you see very good progress because you're doing things that you've never done before. Of course, this is all new for your body, but after a while that you've been going, for example, like after like 2 years, if you're still doing the same things and if your mentality is the same, I'm telling you, you're not going to see as much progress as the guy who actually shows up to the gym with intention and who puts a little bit more effort. Of course, everything comes at a cost. This takes more effort, but if you want to see results, this is what you need to do. And especially if you've been going to the gym for like 2 years and you've been doing the same shit the whole time.